Can you imagine putting a bet on at 5,000 to 1 and that bet actually coming in? Well, that's what happened for the lucky people who did that for Leicester City to win the Premier League in the 2015-2016 season. And spare a thought for those who cashed out early. Since then, it hasn't been all smooth sailing for Leicester. Despite an FA Cup win in 2021, they have since been relegated to the Championship, and that's where they start FM24. My job is to get them back into the Premier League, just like they have done in real life, and then of course survive in the Premier League for the entire 5-year rebuild. I want to bring some silverware back to the club, whether or not that be European or domestic, and I want to get into the Champions League through the league places by finishing in the top 4. And for a bit of fun, let's see if we can buy and sell multiple players for at least £50 million. If you like this kind of thing, please make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any content just like this from Mr. Apple's FM. And of course, hit that like button as well so this video gets sent out to someone new for the sake of engagement. But for now, let's see if we can restore Leicester City's glory. So if we take a look at the transfers for this season, none of them have come by me in terms of the ones that are coming in. Leicester didn't have a great deal of money because they had made some of the transfers themselves. They've got 3 pretty good players coming in online, Abdul Fatawu, Yunus Akgun and Callum Doyle. All 3 players will probably play a lot of games for me this season. Going out, we just had a couple of loans go out that I helped facilitate. They were Tom Wilson-Brown and Harry Sutar getting a little bit of money. Harry Sutar 1.7 million. I think the game doesn't quite have him at the level that us Aussies would like him to be, and he doesn't get into the first team and play too many games, so he is on the way out. In terms of the tactics, we're going with a 4-3-3. It's a tactic that I enjoy using and something that I've had a fair bit of success with. In terms of the players that we got, Tom Cannon actually goes in up front alongside Daka and Iheanacho, after he was brought in for about £6 million, I think. So good to see him in there. Hermansen is a fantastic purchase for the club. They didn't pay a great deal of money for him, and he is a really, really good keeper and progresses into the future. Unfortunately, he is injured to start the season. Checking out the schedule, and it's been a little bit up and down. We started with a 4-4 draw against Cardiff. A tactic like this is going to produce these kind of games every now and then. We then travelled to Doncaster Rovers in the Carabao Cup and we beat them 2-0. Both of the goal scorers there were the lone players Fatawu and Doyle. We then hosted West Brom and beat them 4-1. Harry Winks with a double, which is fantastic. We then went away to Coventry. Decent result this. Coventry are a good side and we drew 1-1 with them. And then hosted Leeds, and this is a very good result. So we beat Leeds 3-1, of course, a team that came down with us. Had a pretty poor loss, to be honest. 2-1 away to Blackburn. A 94th minute goal. That's very frustrating. And then moved ahead in the Carabao Cup. So that puts us into 10th place to start the first season. So let's see how that will do for us going forward. Okay, just before we go on, I am actually recording this in the middle of a storm. So if you do hear anything in the background, that's exactly what it is. I'll try and edit my way around it, but you know, sometimes these things happen, so it is what it is. All right, let's check out to see how we did in our first season with the club. And it's a promotion via the playoffs. And we got 101 points, and yet we're not automatically promoted. So Leeds and Southampton both getting over 100 points as well to get themselves up. We had to go via the playoffs. A 4-1 win against Ipswich Town, and all 4 goals came before half-time. Looked like it was a relatively even game. We had more possession, but shots-wise, we had the same. We just put ours in the back of the net. Checking out the player stats, and Jamie Vardy has 40 goals and an average rating of 7.79, 13 Player of the Match awards. For a 37-year-old, that is an incredible effort. Dewsbury Hall with 25 assists. Excellent from him too. We'll check out our competitions, and a 5th round loss by West Ham. So going out to a Premier League club, yeah, nothing to be ashamed of there. 4-2, we put up a bit of an effort, and a 4th round loss in the Carabao Cup to Arsenal. We have a look at our schedule, and we've got a 6-5 loss to Middlesbrough. That's in the semi-final. So that's the first leg of the semi-final. If we have a look through, it is 4-3 going into injury time. We've scored in the 93rd minute to equalise. We've then gone ahead through Jamie Vardy in the 95th minute. And then Paddy McNair has equalised in the 98th for Middlesbrough and then scored again in the 99th minute. That is the most insane game I have seen for a very long time. 6-5 when it was 4-3 going into injury time. That's ridiculous. But luckily for us, we won 3-1 in the return leg, so we're the ones that went through to the final and won comfortably, as we saw, against Ipswich Town. Checking out our player stats, and Jamie Vardy with 44 goals in the first season. Iheanacho with 21 and Daka with 17. You'd probably want a little bit more out of them. They should be putting in more goals than Vardy is, for sure. But Dewsbury Hall getting 29 assists in the first season. He is well and truly way above championship quality. He's European quality, probably like Europa League level, I would suggest. So excellent effort from him. Checking out our transfer budget for next season, lots in the wage budget. So if we actually move that around properly, we get £56 million in the transfer budget and £200,000 in the wage budget for next year. So let's see what we can do for season number 2. Okay, so for season number 2, on the way out before the changeover of season date, we sent Casey McAteer for £14.25 million, a player that probably won't become Premier League standard, so to get that amount of money for him is a fantastic effort. Harry Souttar then went out permanently for $9.5 million. And then a couple of big sales for players going out to Saudi Arabian clubs, Harry Winks and Boubakary Soumaré. Soumaré I'm okay with. Harry Winks, I'd probably rather him stay, but with that amount of money and also the fact he wanted to leave once he had the offer come through from Saudi Arabia, we sent him out and hopefully we can replace him with someone a bit cheaper. Big money move coming in. Matheus Cunha comes in from relegated Wolves. So we paid Wolves £50 million for him, up to $58 million with some add-ons. Serge Barjo comes in on a free transfer, mainly just to be a bit of a backup. Don't expect him to get many games, but he came in on free anyway. Corley comes in, the Brazilian midfielder, strong midfielder, this guy. Attacking midfielder, already scored a couple of goals in 4 games, so that's, I think, a fantastic purchase for us. We then have one of my favourites, Ivan Arzon, the pressing forward superstar, the young fella from Spain coming in from Zaragoza, and he comes in for £7 million. 3 games so far, hasn't scored a goal, but has played relatively well. Junior Mwanga is a fantastic centre-back and can play in the defensive midfield role as well. We brought him in for £32 million from Strasbourg. Next on the list is a defensive midfielder, Salvatore Esposito, one of my favourites again. This guy is fantastic. To get him for £9 million is a great effort. He's started 3 games for us already, and this guy should be a long-term player for the club. I think he goes straight into the first team, and he is well and truly Premier League quality. Leonidas Sturgio is going to be a fantastic player for the club too. Probably more of a backup, basically the next man in for the defence, but he can play anywhere in the defence, which is a great option for us. And Ben Stardai. So I don't know too much about this young fella, but he looks fantastic for his age. He's 18 years of old. Look at that technique and vision. Passing already at 15. So he's going to be a backup to the first team for a little while, but I think he can produce something special for the club going forward. So tactics-wise, we're keeping it the same. Just changed a couple of the player roles. So we've got now a Mazzala in the midfield, a D-line playmaker, and a ball-winning midfielder as well. So this tactic for me, I think we should be able to get to at least mid-table with it. It might not be the one that actually takes us to, say, the Champions League or a cup final, but it is something that I think we will run strongly with. Schedule-wise, it has been a drawing kind of start. We drew 0-0 at Newcastle, drew 1-1 at home to Brighton, drew 2-2 away to Everton, knocked out in the Carabao Cup, but then a fantastic 3-0 win at home to Tottenham, with Corley getting a double there. So there's where both of his goals come from. And then if we take a look at the league table, we are currently in 7th place with those 6 points. So it has been a pretty good start to the season. I think we can do a bit better than that, but let's see how we do for season number 2. All right, first season back in the Premier League. Let's see how we did. We get into it, and it's an 11th place finish. I will very much take that. So that is a really good effort by us. Positive goal difference as well. So looking like a really really good season from us for the first season back into the Premier League. Plenty to build on going forward. We don't have anyone in the player stats, I don't think. No, we don't. So we check out the goals. So 70 goals for the season. That's fantastic, actually. There's only the top 5 that have scored more than us. And then 66 conceded. So that's not great. But at least it was a positive goal difference. So that is a really good thing. Let's go into the competitions. And it's a runner-up in the FA Cup. Okay. We got played off the park in the FA Cup by the look of things. 4-1 to Liverpool. So it was 1-1, but they were all over us by the look of that. Plenty of shots for them and only 2 for us. So got to the 69th minute and then Trent Alexander-Arnold scored a double and Nunez scored another one. So it was 4-1 in the end, but a really good run for us. Let's go and see how we actually did. So a 4-2 win to start off against Man United. Fantastic effort. A 4-1 win in a replay against Brentford. Excellent again. So another Premier League team that we've beaten. And a 3-1 win against Newcastle. And then in the quarterfinal, a 5-2 win against Arsenal. So knocking out some really big teams here. And in the semi-final, beat their North London rivals in Tottenham on penalties. So yeah, excellent. Excellent from us. Let's check out the player stats now. And goals. Looks like we've spread the goals around those attackers plus Dewsbury Hall. So 17 to Arzon, great stuff for his first season for the club. Cunha, Dewsbury Hall, Daka and Iheanacho all getting in double figures as well. And if we check the assists, Dewsbury Hall, Cunha and Daka all getting double figure assists with Iheanacho just 1 off. Let's have a look at that schedule and it looks like we really fell away with that cup run. We barely even won a game in the Premier League actually going in towards the end of the season. We've got 1 to Burnley and 1 to Fulham and then the rest are just reds everywhere unfortunately. So in fact let's have a look at how we did with our position. So we got up into 7th place and then really fell away. Probably lucky to get it back to 11th if we're truly honest. But still, a fantastic season for the first one back into the Premier League. And if we have a look at the budget for next year, just over £50 million and just under £200,000 per week in the wage budget. So that should be plenty for us to play with. Let's do it. And of course, before we get to season number 3, just a reminder, if you're new here, just give it a little click of that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any further videos from the channel. That goes all back into supporting the channel and it is perfectly free for you guys to do. And hit the like button and leave a comment down below if there's any other teams you would like me to take on the challenge with. All right, let's get back into it. Okay, so after last year's solid finish, let's see what we do for season number 3. So on the way out, Patson Daka, he started to get a bit unhappy at the club. And when a club offers £60 million for him, you got to take that because I don't think he's a consistent goal scorer in the Premier League. I think his level as a really good goal scorer is about the championship. He's a solid player. £60 million, that's plenty. Sent out Yassine Ketchka for £11 million and Connor Cody for 7.5, which is pretty good for someone in their 30s. So during the season, we actually purchased Yassine Ketchka from Havre and Julien Pontieux from Lorient to strengthen our midfield. And then before the changeover of seasons, we brought in João Reggio from Benfica, a fantastic young player. If his potential is at the higher range of his ability, then he becomes world class. Sending him out on loan this season at Burnley, and he started really well, 3 goals in 6 games for Burnley. So hopefully once he comes back, he will be just about a starter, if not the next one in to the starting team. Jan-Paul van Heck, £31 million for Jan-Paul van Heck is a fantastic deal, I think. 16s and 17s everywhere from this guy. This is a very, very good defender. How he hasn't got caps for the Netherlands, I do not know. He's a very good player, and he will be in our team the entire way through, I would imagine, unless we manage to pull out something incredible later on. We brought in Luciano Gomez for free. He's going to be a backup to the midfield. He can play anywhere in the defensive midfield, centre midfield, or attacking midfield. So that is a great option for us, and to get him on free is a great effort. And then Junior Krupi for just £16 million. This is a steal. He's just about first team quality already. Needs to probably improve that finishing and anticipation. But outside of that, I think this guy is a fantastic pickup for only 19 years old. Rooney Bargy is coming in as well. Again, I reckon probably unders paying for Rooney Bargy at £16.5 million. Probably doesn't quite fit into the first team at the moment. Needs to improve that attacking midfield or striking ability. But he's only 19 years of age, of course. So tactics-wise, we have changed it. We've gone to another one that I do really like, the 4-2-2. 2 Segundo Volantes in the defensive midfield. We got a shadow striker with an attacking midfielder on support, and then a pressing forward on support with an advanced forward. So gonna lock in Matheus Cunha as the advanced forward for this season. I think he should be the one that gives us the biggest opportunity for scoring goals. Schedule-wise, we have a 1-0 win to start the season against Man United with Jamie Vardy scoring. So fantastic to see him continue going into the third season of this game. We then had a bit of a bad loss away from home to Crystal Palace 1-0. Knocked out West Brom in the Carabao Cup, but then also beat Sheffield United 3-0 in the next round of the Premier League, which is a great result for us. So it's real early days in the season, but we are in 6th place to start the season. Let's hope we can get into the European places for season number 3. All right, here we go. End of season number 3. Let's get into the Premier League, and fantastic. It is a 7th place finish. Europa League football too, not Conference League. We are in the Europa League. That is an excellent effort. Looks like West Ham may have actually won the Europa League by the look of that. They've got themselves Champions League football. If we have a look at the player stats, Cunha with 16 goals, so excellent. No one else by the look of things other than our defensive midfield pairing of Dewsbury Hall and Esposito both getting plenty of cards. Good for them. Just knocking people around in the middle of the park. That's what we like to see. In terms of our goals, we have bumped it up to 80, which is actually the best in the league. So we scored more goals than anyone this year. Again, it's the defense that we really need to work on for next season. I've got a couple of people in mind that we can bring in. So that is where we do need to strengthen. Checking out our other competitions, 3rd round defeat to Brentford in the FA Cup. That's not great, but a semi-final defeat to Arsenal, 3-2 as well. So a draw in the second leg after a 1-0 loss in the first. A great effort by the lads. Unfortunately, we couldn't get it done to get through to another cup final. Let's go backwards this time. Quarter-final, we beat Chelsea 3-1. Knocking out another big club, Sheffield United, who are still a Premier League club, so that's a good effort too. And in the 3rd round, we beat West Ham, another Premier League club, 4-1, so we did it quite well too. Let's check out those player stats for the season. And Junior Krupi was 17, and Matheus Cunha was 17. So Krupi coming in for his first season as a 19-year-old for the team, getting 17 goals. What a fantastic effort. That is Arzon also getting to double figures. And then Esposito and Arzon getting double figures for assists. Dewsbury Hall with his new position didn't quite get as much as what I would have hoped. And it looks like Ben Stardai has had a pretty decent season with 6 goals and 6 assists as well. Let's have a look at the transfer budget for next season, if I can actually get into it. So £54 million in the transfer budget and £170 million in the wage budget, which is almost the same as last year. We've got plenty of value in this squad, so we can move some players out if we need to, get some better players in. Let's see what we do for season number 4. We're in the Europa League this time. Alrighty, so with the qualification into the Europa League, I feel like we have the ability to get some better players in. But first of all, for the players that are going out, we have Hamza Chowdhury going to Burnley for up to £15 million and Wanya Marsal going to Cardiff City for £2.6 million. And we have Julien Ponceau going out to Saudi Arabia for £43 million, which is a hell of a good profit for us. Wout Faes is going for £36 million, also to Saudi Arabia. And then a couple of smaller ones, Luke Thomas and Corley going out. Probably would have liked a bit more for Corley, considering how good he was in that first season. Didn't have a great second season though for us and was overtaken by some other players. In terms of players in, we have one major transfer for money coming in, and that was Nathan Collins from Brentford. A fantastic right back or centre back, probably more so a centre back for us at the moment, and also being English really helps with the Europa League registration too. And then 3 transfers coming in. Lazar Magic coming in from Udinese. What a fantastic pickup this is, to pay absolutely nothing for them. Started on the bench for us, but he did have an injury during preseason. And then we have a couple of backups. So we now have a backup right back in Emil Holm. He's coming in from Spezia. And then Sergio Gomez is going to be the backup left back and could also potentially play in the attacking midfield role, but left back is where we would like him to be. He did start in the Carabao Cup, but hasn't started yet as a Premier League player. Schedule, let's have a look at that. So started the season off really well with a 3-2 win at home to Tottenham. So James Justin getting 2 goals in that game and then getting himself sent off. Very eventful game for the right back. We then have a 3-1 win away from home to Fulham. In fact, all 4 goals really early in that game. Man City, we hosted and lost 1-0 thanks to an Erling Haaland 30th minute goal, and unfortunately Cunha got injured in that game. And then a pretty terrible away loss to Burnley 3-0. So this is frustrating, this one. We did then go and beat Sheffield United in the Carabao Cup, but you know, we have bigger fish to fry than that one. Competition-wise, we are in 8th place at the moment for the Premier League, and if we have a look at the schedule for the Europa League, we are going to be playing Panathinaikos, Shishka Sofia, Lask Linz, Rangers, Malmo of Sweden, Vålerenga, Slavia Prague, and Fenerbahce. So this is one that we probably should get through to the top 8. Definitely in the top 24. If we're not in the knockout playoff rounds, I could probably get sacked from my role, to be honest. So this season, we're going to go with the same tactics. And if we lock it in, we have an attacking force of Arzon, Iheanacho, Cunha, and Krupi, which I think is a fantastic strike force. That should score a decent amount of goals for us. With Dewsbury Hall and Esposito, the locks in midfield. Samaji can play in either the attacking midfield role or defensive midfield role. And then there's bench starter, who has progressed really well, actually, who is there ready to go if we need him. Alrighty, so that's season number 4 locked in and ready to simulate through to the end of the season to see how we do. Alright, end of season number 4. Now let's get into the Premier League, see how we've done. And it's a 6th place finish, so going up. That is fantastic. And we've got Champions League football as well next season, so someone's obviously won something, because down in 6th, you probably wouldn't expect to get that through the league. So great effort by the lads. A 34 positive goal difference. That is much better. So I reckon we've probably tightened up our defence. If we have a look, we have. Only 50 goals conceded this season. That's down a fair bit. And we're still the best scorers in the league with 84 goals. So that is awesome from the lads. Just checking out to see if we got any players. We don't actually have any players in the player stats, which is interesting for the top scorers of the league. So no one in the assists or goals or even average rating. That's very strange. This fella here, Andy Scott, is a new gen who looks fantastic. I'd be playing him up front for sure, and it looks like they have. Yep, they have 34 games up front. So he looks wonderful. 16 goals in his 32 games after debuting last year debuting a couple of years ago for Crystal Palace, but had a really good season last year too. If we go onto the competitions, it's us! We have won the Europa League! Oh, that is an awesome effort! We beat Arsenal in the final! Oh, what a day that would be for the club. Beating Arsenal 3-1 in the final, and in fact, playing them off the park. They may have had all the possession, but they couldn't get any shots on us. 3-0 at halftime. They scored a consolation late in the game. What a wonderful achievement. That is why we have got Champions League football. So let's go and have a look at how we actually got there. So league phase, we came 1 spot behind Arsenal in 4th place with 6 wins. A massive 7-0 win against Panathinaikos, if I can say it correctly. And then draw at home to Slavia Prague. So we probably could have won that one to get us 1 spot higher. And then a loss to Fenerbahce. Moving on into the round of 16, and we beat Napoli 5-2, which is a fantastic effort because obviously Napoli, very, very good club. In the quarterfinal, we did the same to Milan, 5-2 in the quarterfinal. Excellent. And then in the semi-final, we beat Valencia 6-3 overall. And that must mean, I reckon we've beaten them 5-1. If we check the schedule. Yep, we beat them 5-1 at home What a fantastic achievement that is. So in that game, Tom Cannon scored a double, and Ben Stardike scored a double as well, with Dewsbury Hall getting one. And Ivan Arzon got sent off in the 28th minute when we were 3-0 up. And then we managed to go on to win 5-1. So that is awesome. Okay, the other competitions, and a 5th round loss to West Ham in the FA Cup and a 4th round loss to Man City. But that's okay. We've got one of our achievements of winning a cup. So that is perfectly fine. Don't worry about the other two for now. Squad stats for the season. And we've got Ben Stardike topping the table with 18 goals along with Ivan Arzon. 2 young players doing really well for the club. Fantastic achievement that is for them. We've spread the goals out again, so 5 players getting in double figures and 4 players getting in double figures for assists, with Dardai, Krupi, Rejo and Dewsbury Hall, and then Christensen getting 9 as well. So just fantastic effort by the club, just spreading the goals, spreading the assists out, getting plenty of both. Checking out our transfers for the final season with Champions League football, £78 million, that's more like it, and just over £100,000. Plenty of value in the players in our squad as well. So if we need better players, just like last season, we can get them in. Here we go. Final season with Champions League football. Let's do it. All right. So after our incredible season last year, winning the Europa League, we actually played in the European South American Club Challenge and got knocked out in the first round. So that's fine. We would rather just have normal friendlies during that time. So the transfers for this season, prior to the changeover of the seasons on the way out, we have Hermansen going out for up to £61 million. That might be a bit of a controversial transfer, but there's a very good reason for it. Danny Ward is out to Newcastle as well for £575,000. We then sold Esposito for £51 million. That was a release fee that was activated by Al Ahly from Saudi Arabia. Not much we could do about that, but that's fine. Inacho went to Wolves for £15 million. He's just about past it at this point in time. Ben Nelson out for up to $3.7 million, and Leonardo Sturgio also went out to Saudi Arabia for $35.5. He wasn't very happy at the club. He was basically overtaken once Nathan Collins came into the club. On the way in, we have Tim Roning from Halmstad. So I think this guy is slightly better than Hermansen, and we got him for £1.5 million. So that's just an incredible effort to get him into the side, and then also get a ridiculous amount for Hermansen on the way out. Now, I'll go to Adam Warden first. He has progressed really nicely in this save. So he's going to come in as a Segundo Volante for us. He's a fantastic player, obviously, for Crystal Palace, and we did pay a bit of an English tax for him, up to £100 million with some add-ons, $71 million up front, but I think that's well worth it. He's very much an upgrade on Esposito, I would imagine, in that Segundo Volante role. And now this fella here, Andy Scott, is a regen, or a new gen, depending on which way you like to call it, for Crystal Palace. He is 19 years of age. He's already scored a goal for England. This guy is incredible. Pace of 16, acceleration of 18, dribbling of 17, finishing of 14. A little bit low, but we are working on that with him. Composure 13, could get better, but again, we're going to work on that with him. He's going to be the advanced forward locked in for the season. He's already scored 5 goals in 4 Premier League games for us this season. He scored 16 goals last year as an 18-year-old for Crystal Palace. So that shows you just how good this kid is. What an epic deal that is. And then a couple of really big free transfers came in as well. Mika Faye comes in from Barcelona. He is going to basically be the Sturgio replacement. So he's the next one up if we have any centre-backs that are out. And then Antonio Blanco is going to be doing the same role, but in the defensive midfield line. He's already played 4 games off the bench for us. He is a fantastic squad player for the club, and he will be essentially the third option as a defensive midfielder. No change to the tactic. It worked last season, so not something that we would want to change. If we have a look at the best 11, Scott goes in up front, Krupi and Cunha go in as the attacking midfielders, and a defensive midfield line of Dewsbury Hall and Wharton is a fantastic pairing. Into the schedule, we did lose our first game 1-0 away to West Ham, which is disappointing. We then lost the Super Cup in the 94th minute to Bayern Munich. Frustrating, but again, not hugely important. We then drew 3-3 with Andy Scott scoring a hat-trick. His second game for the club, 19 years of age, he scores a hat-trick to tie the game with Arsenal. Fantastic. We then went away to Everton, and Andy Scott scored twice. Again, he's 19 years of age, folks. We then drew 1-1 with Chelsea, and Junior Krupi scored a goal in that game. And Krupi scored in our 1-0 win in the Carabao Cup. We're in 11th place at the moment, early doors for this season. Let's have a look at what our schedule is for the Champions League. So we have Ferencváros, Atalanta, Porto, Dortmund, Lille, Shakhtar, Arsenal and Real Sociedad. Pretty tough draw, but not the worst. I think we should be able to get through, probably into the top 24 with that draw. Alrighty, final season now. Let's see if we can get into the top 4 and complete one of our last goals. End of the 5th season, let's get into the Premier League, see how we've done. It's a 2nd place finish. Excellent work. That is a really, really good achievement by the club. 78 points, 7 points off Liverpool, so we were a little bit back. They won it a couple of games ago by look at that. Andy Scott with 24 goals for the season. What a fantastic pickup he was. Yeah, 24 goals in. He played every game, so 38 games in the league, scored 24 goals. Junior Krupi with 7.35 average rating to get himself into the top 4 there. Let's have a look at the goals. So again, top the league for goals scored with 90 and getting better with our defense too with 47. So we're really building a very attacking squad, but our defense is getting stronger and stronger every year too. Let's have a look at the competitions and round of 16. Round of 16, we lose to PSG 8-2 overall. So 2 games of 4-1 against PSG. Yeah, not great, but it's probably not great that we came up against them in the round of 16. And in the league phase, we came 7th in the league phase. So PSG are the ones that came through the knockout playoffs to face us. Let's have a look at our 5 games. So we didn't concede a goal in any of our wins, including a 5-0 away win to Lille, which was fantastic. And 2 0-0 draws. So we've only conceded 1 goal for the entire league phase. I didn't actually see that just then. And that is to Dortmund away from home. So a really good league phase, and then coming up against PSG in the round of 16. That's frustrating, but it is what it is. Great effort nonetheless. And speaking of great efforts, there weren't great efforts in the FA Cup or Carabao Cup. 3rd round loss to Arsenal and a 4th round loss to Man City. Let's check the squad out for this season for the play stats. So Andy Scott obviously topped the team with the goals. Junior Krupi, Cunha and Azon getting themselves in double figures as well, so very well done to them. Assists wise, we have Wharton and Dewsbury Hall both getting into double figures, that defensive midfield pairing, and Dada and Krupi almost getting there as well. So if you wanted to take this over on the Patreon, you are going to have a lot of money. So you have about £93 million, or if you push the wage budget back, you'd have about £83 million for £200,000 per week. So let's recap the players that we brought in. I reckon probably the best player that we actually brought in overall would be Matheus Cunha. So I was a little bit down on him earlier on, but he did have one down season where he was injured for quite a fair bit. So he scored 10 goals in that season. The others he scored 13, 16 and 15, but still got plenty of assists as well. Always above 7 in the average rating. So a fantastic pickup overall, Matheus Cunha. I'm going to give number 2 to a player who only played 1 season for the club, Andy Scott, with 24 league goals in 38 games. If he hasn't come into the team, then we probably don't finish in 2nd place. What a fantastic player this guy is. He will be so much fun to use going forward. In 3rd place, I'm going to give it to Junior Krupi. So Junior Krupi came in 3 seasons for the club, coming in from Lorient. And for £19.25 million, that is an absolute steal for a guy who scored 12, 7 and 15, mainly playing as an attacking midfielder rather than a striker. So an excellent effort and got quite a few assists as well. Number 4, I'm going to give it to one of my favourites, and that is Ivan Azon. He came in, he played 4 seasons for us, 13, 11, 11 and 9. A couple of seasons with a decent amount of assists, almost always above the 7. a really, really good pickup. If you ever see Ivan Arzon going for less than £10 million, please make sure you do go and pick him up, because as a pressing forward, there aren't too many better in the game, I don't think. And then finally, Ben Stardai. So he played 4 seasons for the club. First season took a while to get into it. Second season got better. And then the last 2 seasons with over 7 average rating, topping the assists and goals in one of those seasons. Overall, what a fantastic achievement that was for someone very, very young, and someone I didn't know too much about before this save, and someone who I might look at getting in the future as well. A few honourable mentions. When Nathan Collins came into the club, I think that really turned our defensive stocks around, getting him to partner Jean-Paul Van Heck, who came in, I think, the season beforehand. That was a really, really good pairing right there. And of course, Adam Wharton, getting him in the final season. This guy is fantastic, and it appears we've got a very good version of Adam Wharton, getting 10 assists in that defensive midfield Segundo Volante role. And finally, just checking off those goals that I'd set myself at the start of the save, and of course, getting promoted to the Premier League in the first season is the most important one, and we did that through the playoffs, but otherwise it was pretty comfortably. And then, of course, surviving throughout the entire rebuild. We did that, of course, we didn't just survive, we actually thrived in this rebuild. We won a cup final. We won the Europa League. How good was that? In the 4th season, we beat Arsenal in the final to win the Europa League. We did get to another final, but lost to Liverpool in that one. And then, of course, we wanted to qualify for the Champions League through the league. So in other words, essentially getting into the top 4. And in the final season, we got 2nd place. So that is just a wonderful achievement for a team 4 seasons earlier was in the Championship. And finally, selling and buying players for at least £50 million. So we sold 2 players for at least £50 million, and that is Dakar and Esposito. But then also Hermansen went out for add-ons that went up to £61 million as well. On the way in, we had quite a few players, and just making sure I get them all, let's go through them. So we had Matthias Cunha come in after Wolves went down after the first season. And then we didn't have anyone in the next season, but in the 3rd season, we had Nathan Collins come in. And as I said earlier, he really turned the fortunes around for this club, especially on the defensive side. And then I really splashed the cash after that with both Andy Scott and Adam Wharton coming in from Crystal Palace. Scott for £84 million, Wharton for up to £100 million with some add-ons. But that is well worth the money for how good these two are going to be in the future and how good they were for the club in that final season. And of course, thank you everyone for watching today. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button for absolutely free, and that helps the channel grow even more than it already has done. Thank you everyone for your support in doing that so far. Click a little bit of a like on the video too, so this one gets sent out to someone new. Leave a comment down below if there's any other clubs you would like to see me rebuild. And of course, the most important thing is you make sure you have yourself a wonderful day.